Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Chichaya Veshato Buddhau Bhanandhi Studvidhasthita Ekahankritirannya syat antahkarana rupini. So the first sentence is Buddhau chichaya veshataha bhanam bhavati or syat. So Buddhi is not luminous, it is insentient as much as the physical body and the objects of the world, made up of 5 elements, though it happens to be subtle, but still insentient. It is like mirror. Mirror is very polished surface. It is. Mirror means very polished surface. And therefore it can reflect sunlight. But that doesn't make the mirror luminous. Mirror is opaque only. But because it reflects whatever little light is there, it appears luminous. Same is the case with buddhi. So that is the antahkarana, the inner organ. And now this inner organ has 2 elements in it. These 2 dvidhasthita. 2 means in its turn. The buddhi in its turn is twofold. So here I have a Sanskrit commentary also, very beautiful commentary. So he says, Tasyantah karanasya kartrutva rupi vritti madamshaha ahankriti shabde nochiyate. You see, if you look at yourself, there are, broadly speaking, 2 elements in you. One is the Prakruti, the body and mind put together, body-mind is the Prakruti. Under the other, the inner, Prakruti is outer, under the inner is Purusha. You must have heard these words. Prakruti, Purusha, Viveka, Yoga. That is the name given to the 13th chapter of Gita. So Prakruti is the body-mind. And all around is also Prakruti. What you have all around is also Prakruti. How come both are Prakruti? Because both are constituted by the same raw materials, same stuff. Outside world is made up of 5 elements, Prithvi, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha. And the body-mind is also a product of the same 5 elements. And hence, what is outside is the same as the body-mind. Therefore, body-mind is not inner. Body-mind is outer only. But we take it as inner. And the name given to that is Ajnana. Okay? Ajnana, or sometimes they call it Avidya. Ajnana is a good word. And here the Tikakara is also using the word Ajnana. But sometimes Ajnana can be topical. In a given topic you don't have that knowledge, etc. But whereas this identification with the body-mind, namely, what is outer, what is part and parcel of the Prakruti, you are aware of the Prakruti, and now what you are aware of is the other. And you identify with the other. Identification is of 2 kinds. One is mama, this is mine. Mine identification. And then me identification. Both are in place. And so, this is the Prakruti. Prakruti is made up of 5 elements, that is the Jagat. And the body-mind is included in the Jagat. It is not separate from the Jagat, it is included in the Jagat. Look at your body. Is it included in the Jagat or is it separate from the Jagat? Suppose it is separate from the Jagat, it will fall dead immediately and then go and merge in the Jagat. So for example, there is water in the Jagat and you need to be part of that water, the body. There is air in the Jagat, the body-mind needs to be part of that air. Body-mind needs to be part of the Prithvi. part of the heat. Heat, there is heat all around. Agni is not some fire only. Agni is the heat, what they call enthalpy. So that is the Agni, thermal content. And so the body, with its thermal content, is as much part of the nature as anything else. So, body is entirely an integral part of the Prakruti. You have to examine all this. This is hard stuff Vedanta, the nitty-gritty of Vedanta. You cannot neglect this. Otherwise what happens, Vedanta becomes a bunch of ideas, very good sounding ideas. Idea is not the truth. You should first understand that. Idea is not the truth. Idea is a thought pattern, nothing more. And thought doesn't contain the truth. Anyway, therefore, the discussion can be concluded by one statement, namely, the physiology, the entire physiology and the psychology are an integral part of the nature. They are part and parcel of the Prakruti, the physiology and psychology. They are not you. They are the Prakruti. They are the other. Then what are you? You are the Purusha. Purusha, the awareness that abides in this body-mind. Purushete iti Purusha. Purnatvat Purusha. You are the Purusha. Purusha is not male. Purusha is the awareful entity that abides in this body-mind, in this Prakruti. So now you have Prakruti, the body-mind, vis-a-vis the Purusha, the awareful entity. You have come to that point? In the meditation also I have tried to introduce to you the three dimensions, the physical and psychological, and then the spiritual. Physical and psychological are the Prakruti, and the spiritual is the Purusha. That is the distinction. This distinction, Vedanta is all about distinction. And in the Gita, you hear the word Jnana Yoga. There yoga you keep aside, come to the word Jnana. The Jnana is not Atma Jnanam, that you come to know Atma. That is not the Jnanam. There the Jnanam, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. That is the Sankhya. You know what is the meaning of Sankhya? Sankhya means Prakruti Purusha Viveka. That is the Sankhya. And therefore, the Jnanam of the Gita, Jnana Yoga, Gita Jnana Yoga expression is there. In that the word Jnanam means Atmanatma Viveka Jnanam ityarthaha. That is the meaning. You have to see the bhashya there. Therefore, what you need to pay attention to is the distinction between Atma, the Purusha, the awareful entity. Who is that? You. Even while you sit here, you are the awareful entity. You have to look at yourself correctly. And the problem is you do not look at yourself correctly. And so if somebody asks you to look at yourself correctly, you have a complaint against the guy. Go and sit on the tree. You got the point now? That is called teaching. Okay? So, when you see in King Lear, that King Lear's close person is there, I think he is Kent, maybe his name, I don't remember exactly. He complains to King Lear, hey, oh king, you drive away the physician and invite the foul disease. So, you cannot do that. The one who points out the right thing, you cannot drive away that person. You cannot do that. That is a silly thing to do. That is all digression. Come back to the point, okay? So this is the non-linear teaching. Please understand. So anyway, therefore, Prakruti Purusha Viveka, Atma Anatma Viveka, that must be there. Viveka is discrimination. That is the knowledge of discrimination. Like in the example I have given, there is the coffee powder and there is the sugar, both are in the same size bottle, at the same place, side by side. You should know what is what. You cannot put coffee powder into the filter and sugar into the filter and coffee powder into the milk. You cannot do that. You have to know the distinction. Though they are in the same bottles, same size, and it is dusk a little less light, therefore you take it, sugar bottle, and assume it to be coffee powder. And take this coffee powder bottle, assume it to be the sugar. You cannot do that kind of a silly thing. That is what we do in all our life. And that's why this is the original sin, if you will. That is the original sin. In Christian mysticism, it is called original sin. Bhagavan Buddha called it dukkham, sarvam dukkham. Dukkham is not sitting and crying. Buddha's noble truths, the first noble truth is the sarvam dukkham. There is ignorance all pervading. That is the name given to it. In Vedanta it is called avidya. The same thing. Okay? And in some texts it is called papam or papma. Even that it is said. Where this discrimination is absent. So you have to develop the discrimination. That is the job. So there is the Prakruti, idam, and Purusha, the awareful entity, aham. They both meet in the mind. The spirit and the matter, Prakruti is matter, meet in the mind. Mind is the meeting place. Why matter is called Prakruti? What is the word Prakruti? Prakrustam krutihi. When you look out at the world, it is a phenomenal world. Means ever changeful. That is the Prakrushta kriti. Intense activity, movement, change. That is Prakruti. That word Prakruti and its meaning nicely applies to the body-mind. Look at the body, it is ever changeful. Why do you need to take a photograph? The blessed thing is ever changing and it will fall dead. Why do you want a photograph of the changing and unreal thing? So it's okay. Then the mind is ever changeful. That is the Prakruti. Body-mind is the Prakruti and you are the Purusha. But now, in the mind, there is the aham, Purusha, and there is the idam, Prakruti, and then there is avidya. That is the problem. What is jiva? Jiva is equal to Brahman plus body-mind plus avidya. That is the jiva. Avidya must be there. Without avidya, you cannot have a jiva. Without avidya, it is all Brahman, because Prakriti is phenomenal and unreal. So it dissolves. Whatever is phenomenal, it changes and vanishes. It only appears like a movie. And so Purusha is Purusha. But it is the avidya which creates this samsara. So there is avidya. Where is it? In the mind. It is the mind which is ignorant. And it is the mind which realizes. Atma has nothing to do with ignorance, nothing to do with realization. It is the mind which is ignorant, and it is the mind which realizes. Covers up the sun, it is the pack of clouds that moves aside and allows the sun to shine. That is it is. So this avidya. Now I have a discussion before me concerning the aham and the idam, and how avidya operates and messes up the whole situation. That is the discussion. Okay? So the aham, because of avidya, ignorance, it identifies with the idam. I told you the identification is twofold. Mama identification and aham identification. You do both. You call the body my body. That is mama identification. And you take yourself to be the body, that is the aham identification. Therefore, I am the body is mine. That is two kinds of identification, because of which the aham, pure, awareful entity, is now distorted. It gets distorted. That is what avidya does. Suppose the mirror is impure. Mirror is a wrong mirror. Aberration is there. There is a thing called aberration. The mirror You stand before the mirror, it will show you a distorted face because it creates that aberration. So if the face is like this, the mirror takes the jaw downwards and the head upwards. So you see this big face, a distorted face. Sometimes the mirror has a different kind of aberration. This eye will go 1 yard that side, this ear. And this ear will go another yard this side. And so you see a face which is distorted horizontally. That is the mirror, you know. This is a physics topic, okay? Aberrations in the mirror. And so the mind is the mirror, and it reflects the chit, the atma, and even while reflecting the chit, it creates the aberration. And therefore the pure reflection, chaya, that is called aham. The pure reflection it is, aham pure. Aham pure means, what is pure water? Pure water means water and water alone, nothing else added. What is pure ghee? Ghee and ghee alone, nothing else is added. What is pure aham? Aham and aham alone, nothing else is added to that. That is pure aham, okay? Pure doesn't mean something else. So this is the pure. Now this aham, as it identifies with idam, which is Prakruti, and therefore which is ever moving, changeful. So aham identifies with the changeful, and therefore changeful also appears as doing. Aham, the body mind is ever doing. Mind is thinking, which is a doing. Body is performing physical actions, that is doing. Thinking is also doing at a subtle level. And therefore the aham identifies with all this movement, beginning with the subtle movement thinking to gross movement of performing actions with hands, etc. With all that movement, which is a kind of doing, so aham identifies, and now aham becomes aham karomi. I do. I do not do. Doing is not my swarupa. My swarupa is awareful being. That is my swarupa. You have to get all this. Bear with my repetitions. You have to get it. I am the awareful being, and there is no doing in myself. Where all doing is in the body-mind. Mind thinks, body performs actions, all the doing is in the body-mind. Therefore, now, due to ignorance, the aham gets connected with the doing. Aham karomi. This is the thing which is difficult to explain to people because they resist it. So they assume that they are doing things. They are doing worldly things. I gave birth to children. They assume that they are the doers. And then I brought up children. They are doers. I educated children. They are the doers. So I make money. The doer. I put the food on the table. Doer. I worship God, doer. I worship Goddess, doer. So the worldly life is full of doership, and the religious life is even more full of doership. Though you may practice religion for half an hour, but in that during half an hour, you cement yourself that you are the doer. I am the doer. Aham karomi, 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 karishye, karishye, karishye. And you put your gotra, nama, this, that, and make it such a perfect, concretized sense of doership, you are stuck with it for the life. And a poor Swami comes and says it is wrong, you go against this Swami, I tell you. Aham karomi. Okay? Ahankaraha. Ahankaraha or ahankrutihi. One and the same. Again, don't think they are separate. It is all pratyaya. If the pratyaya is a, it is ahankaraha. Kru is the dhatu. And if the pratyaya is thin, it is ahankrutihi. One and the same meaning. Therefore, the doership, as the Tekakara points out, the doership is now wrongly attributed to the pure aham. And that is how you arrive at the ahankara. which becomes the center of this person. The person has a center. The center is ahankara. You can look at it in terms of a mathematical model. Wherever there is a center, circle, you must have studied the circles chapter in mathematics, coordinate geometry. There is a chapter called circles. It is all about circles. So the circle, the fundamental elements of circle are two: the center and the periphery. Periphery or perimeter. Where there is a center, there must be a periphery. Suppose there is no periphery, then it is not a center. Okay. Where there is a periphery or perimeter, there must be a center. So between the center and the periphery, there is space. Okay. So that is the model. Now the center is the ahankara, the person. Ahankara, the center. Do you know how the center has formed? The child has no center. Because the child, the mind has not yet developed into this ignorance. And therefore the child has no center. And as the child grows, we bring the child into what is called local consciousness. It is called local consciousness. Local consciousness means you are my son, I am your father, I am your mother, we are Brahmanas and you are also a Brahmana, not a Shudra or anything else, you are Brahmana. And then we are Hindus, you are a Hindu, we are Muslims, you are a Muslim, we are Christians, you are a Christian. So we are South Indians and you are a South Indian, not a North Indian. Be careful about North Indian. This is the local consciousness. And we are Vedantins, they are not Vedantins. Part of the local consciousness. Okay? This is our sampradaya, not that sampradaya. Anything sectarian, divisive, that is the local consciousness. And we carefully bring this child into the local consciousness and fixate the child into that ahankara, that center. That is how center is created. And the center has a religion. It is my religion. The center has a caste, my caste. And the center has a creed, my creed. Race, my race. That is the center. And then the center has a culture, my culture. The center owns a garden, my garden. More beautiful than somebody else's garden. This is the center. That is how the center is created. The center is the result of time. Think about these things. Really. You have to have, this is of my nature to exhort students like that. So, the center is the result of time. Because you say, my childhood, my youth, my birthday, 32nd birthday, 40th anniversary day, or 25th marriage day. You are a child of time. Not child, you are a child of time. That is a simple word. You are a victim of time. That is a better word. Till I remember another good word. So, you are a creature of time. How is that? Therefore, so the center is the result of time. That's why the center, the ahankara, always talks in terms of time. Always talks. The center becomes a Swami and now talks, I am the Guru for 1,000 Sishyas. That is the center now. That is the center. Now this is Vedantic center. Sannyasa center. This is my 23rd year as sannyasi. That is what? Is it not the center? So I say this side also so that it balances well. So that is the center, which is the result of time. It lives in the field of time. It looks at itself in terms of time. I am old, that is time. You are not old. The body doesn't say I am old. Deho na janati, Ramana Maharshi. You stand before the mirror. Oh, the body has become old. You don't say like that. You say, body doesn't say I have become old. You enter and say, I am old. Because you are a creature of time, alas. And then I was born 70 years back, which only means that your death is nearing fast. There is no Mangala in it. It is Amangala. The creature of time. Nothing more. Most unworthy thing, but that is how Ajnana operates. This Ajnana gets decorated in multiple ways. And so it uses all kinds of imaginations and fancies to decorate itself, this Ahankara. And that is the center. And the center has a periphery or a perimeter. And of course, obviously, there is a space between the center and the periphery. There is a space. In the circle also there is a space. Under this center, the Ahankara, the me, the person, has a perimeter, and there is a space between the center and that perimeter. And this person lives in that space. Okay? So, what is the content of that space? My house, my career, my job, my bank account, my wife, my husband, my children, my culture, my religion. They are all the content of that space between the perimeter and the center. Are you following this model? So, the space contains content, and there is space, and the person lives in that space. My relatives, my friends, my people, my colleagues in the office, my co-religionists, my co-casteists. Come to India, all caste it is. So it is entire election comes, it is all caste, caste and more caste. So then my music, you identify with music also. Don't leave music also alone. My music. You may not say my music, you may say our music. Sometimes you become a bit more magnanimous and say our. It is not our. It is a collective ego. It is my music, my culture, etc. And my region. This is India. Here regional identification is less, I suppose. Less are not there. But in India we have very strong regional identification. It is always South India versus North India. And then Punjabi versus Madrasi. So all that. And so all those things are part and parcel of that space. That limited space between the me and the mind. This is a beautiful model. And that's why I am spending some time on it. It conveys the point very well. So in that space one lives. Sometimes the space is a bit small space and the area of the circle is less. Sometimes it may be a bigger circle with the area, a bigger area. But still it is a center with a periphery. Okay? You see, once in Hyderabad we had an interesting situation. There is a jail where I live. Next door is a jail. It is called Chenchalguda Jail. Jail is penitentiary. In India we call it jail. In Telugu we call it jailu. Just add U to that. Okay? And I was next door. I come out of the gate and cross the road and stand by the wall of the jail. Old jail. And I visited that jail at that time. It was very old, British-made jail. British people have made jails, and we inherited those jails. And so the cells were a bit narrow, the jail is overcrowded, and space is a problem inside those four walls. And that was the jail. I visited the jail one time. Superintendent was known to me, I visited. Then in Chandrababu government, they took a decision. Shift this jail, it is overcrowded anyway, it is in the center of the city, near Secunderabad railway station. That is where I live. And so shift this jail from here to an outskirts village called Charlapalli. Now it is called Charlapalli jail. It is shifted. The jail became Gandhi Hospital. The whole area was converted into a hospital, big buildings and all that. So good job they have done. Now the jail has gone to Charlapalli. And all the inmates were shifted. The jail superintendent, the police, everything was shifted there. And then I went to Charlapalli jail one day. There I saw the roof, the cells are more wide. The outer yard where they do exercise in the evening is somewhat bigger. And they have more trees and other, it is much more spacious. And so, some of the jail inmates, they are happy. They are very happy. We got a more spacious cell. And we can walk a bigger yard is there in the evening for 1 hour we can walk. And the kitchen is bigger. Look at that. And so, they feel very good about it. These jail inmates, we people are like that. We are the samsaris and we live in that circle. And sometimes the circle is small, a bit congested. Sometimes it is bigger. You have a bigger bank account. Instead of having a 2 BHK, you have a 5 BHK home. So, you have a music, culture, dance, religion, all of that in that circle and the center. You are a connoisseur of all these things. So, but at the end of the day, you are this jail cell mate, nothing more. People live in perpetual bondage. People are no different from a prisoner living in a prison cell. The prisoner also has the freedom to walk in the yard, and our freedom is like that, very truncated freedom. But the prisoner is always a prisoner. Even if he walks in the yard, he is always a prisoner. He may get a large yard, he may get a better building, more comfortable cells with bathrooms and all that, all the rest of it, but he is still a jail inmate. He is a prisoner. So, as long as there is a center, there must be a periphery, and therefore there is the limitation of space. Space is limited. Even if you expand the space, it is still limited. Okay? So, therefore, the center, the me, it can never ever be free. You are bound in a 1 BHK, 1 BHK, you know, 1 bedroom and a hall and kitchen. And you are bound in 5 BHK also. Even if you get into a palace or a castle, you are still bound, a prisoner. A prisoner is a prisoner. So that is how we live. And as long as the periphery is kept and the center remains in place, the center, the person can never be free. There is no freedom for the center. But sometimes even the prisoner may say, I am free within the 4 walls of the prison. The prisoner may say like that, but we know that he is not free. So, the samsaris may say, we are free. In America, we are more free. We can take the car and drive wherever we want to drive. And we can eat whatever we want to eat. And we decide our breakfast, lunch and dinner. And when to sleep, when to wake up, everything we do, we are free people. The prisoner is speaking. Okay? Then another problem with this, you have to understand the bondage very perfectly. You see, there was a prisoner in a prison and he wanted to escape from the prison. Then a visitor came. He approached the visitor. Visitor is a sadhu like me. And so he approached I want to escape. Please give an advice. He is the guru. Please give an advice. The person gave an advice. Study the blueprint of the prison very carefully. That is the advice given to him. Okay? That advice should be given. Why should it be given, you know? Because if you study the psychology of the prisoners, in that illustration, if you study the psychology of the prisoners are given to a variety of ideas and concepts. The prisoner will be sitting in his cell all alone, and lonely, not alone. He is very lonely, and therefore his mind will be racing, and therefore he starts imagining the outside, how the outside would be. And maybe the bazaars are very open and people are walking back and forth freely. Oh, that is the outside. Like that, he will develop a variety of concepts about the outside. And for the prisoner who is all lonely inside that prison cell, for him these concepts that the mind spins and makes them appear real. Did you know? Did you hear? It is the mystery of the imagination that it appears real. That is the imagination. Imagination has this great mysterious quality that it appears real. People in Arizona who are looking for UFOs, they end up seeing UFOs. Because why they see UFOs? Because they are looking for UFOs. That is the only reason. Drishti Srishtivada it is. They are looking for UFOs, therefore you see UFOs. Like that. In modern painting, he throws paint on the wall, a mural. And now you look at that, there is this Swami with the beard and all that. Oh, that is Ganesh Maharaj. You throw paint and you can say anything you want in it. That is the mystery of imagination, that it appears real. And the prisoner, while he is sitting in his prison cell, poor lonely guy, and he starts imagining. And in his imagination, he creates concepts. He knows that he cannot escape. He knows that he is bound for good. He cannot escape. He knows it. And therefore, he imagines. And these concepts which he creates for himself, or somebody else gives to him also. So they become extraordinarily important for the prisoner, the concepts. So he has a concept of the outside world and he believes in it. So all these concepts. So therefore, that is how the prisoner's psychology works. The samsaris are no different, because samsaris are also prisoners, and therefore for them, the concept of God, they believe it to be the God. It is not God. You don't know what is God. To know God is to deny God. Do you know that? Therefore, God is the unknown and unknowable, but you develop a concept of God. Being in the prison of samsara, this concept of God, maybe you did not develop it, somebody gave it to you. You have inherited the thought pattern it's a concept, and that becomes all important for us, we the prisoners. The concept, culture, which is a concept, all important. Religion, all important. Sect, all important. Sampradaya, all important. Why these sectarian things have become so important for us? Because we are the prisoners. That's why. We are bound within that periphery. Therefore, so the space that is around the center is always limited. And then this ahankara, it has limited space around it. The space it is both literal. In the case of a prisoner, it is literal. And in the case of the present discussion, it is metaphorical. I'm sure you can follow that. And now the prisoner has developed time. Do you know? There are stories. The prisoner, suppose he is put in solitary confinement. He has no way of knowing time, whether it is day or night. And then he sees through some small hole in the roof or whatever in the window, and sees a ray of sunlight, and then that is the day, and he puts with a chalk, he puts one line, and he measures time. The prisoners, solitarily confined prisoners, they measure time in their own way, right? They measure time. So what is the prisoner? The concepts become very important. He creates a small space around himself, and that space, he lives in that space, and then he creates time. The samsari, I have taken up a model which perfectly fits like hand in glove with samsaris. Samsaris, they create a center, which is the person, and create a space around the center, and they invent time. They create time. I'm not talking of chronological time. I'm talking of psychological time. The mental time which binds. You, by all means, you pay your attention to chronological time. In another 20 minutes, I will give up. I will finish the class and go and have a cup of tea. That is the chronological time. That helps. That doesn't bind. Whereas psychological time, it binds. So the prisoner is in psychological time. He celebrates his third anniversary in the prison. People, every single celebration that people make is rooted in ignorance. There is no reason to celebrate. You are bound. Why? What is there to celebrate? You should reflect, not celebrate. But that is how the prisoners are. Therefore, so now the prisoner becomes a slave to space and time, psychological time. So samsaris, they are prisoners. They become slaves to this periphery, the content, my religion, my this, my that, my this. So the mind, he becomes a prisoner of that mind space, and he becomes a prisoner of time, the psychological time. Look at people, they are not simple people. They are walking history. A history is walking around this and that. How do you do, sir? Oh, this month I am okay, last month I was not okay. He is not a simple person. He is a history walking. Entire history. There is a name for it, historic self. He is not the true self, he is the historic self. And then they celebrate it also. So people are bound to house, property, to family. They are bound to the community. You bind yourself to your community. You can say, I am a homo sapiens, I am a human being. Nobody says that. You do not come across a human being even among the students of Vedanta. That is the misfortune. And so they are bound to the community, to the society, to the culture, and so on and so on. That is the prison. That is the bondage. And this bondage is all located in the mind where there is the reflection of the Atma Chaitanyam, all because of this ignorance. Now we raise a question. The question is it possible to become free? That is the question. The answer is yes. So, how the prison is created in the first place? By the center and by the periphery. So, you do away with the center and do away with the periphery, you are free. Doing away with the periphery is called Vairagya. Doing away with the center is called Viveka. This is what Sri Krishna tells in second chapter at the end. Gita is mostly second chapter only. The other things are elaboration. The essence is in the second chapter. So 72 verses. The 71st verse says, Nirmamo nirahankaraha, the second line. Sa shanti madhigacchati. Nirmamaha, who is free from the periphery. Nirahankaraha, who is free from the center. Both go in one shot. Both go in one shot, because without periphery there is no center. Without center there is no periphery. For the purpose of understanding we call it Vairagya and Viveka, but both are interconnected. So nirmamaha nirahankaraha, no periphery, no center, sa shantim adhigacchati. Shankara, mokshakhyam shantim adhigacchati. He gains the peace, the freedom of liberation. Esha Brahmi Sthitihi. That is the next verse. Hey Arjuna, this is the Brahmi Sthiti. Means this is the Brahmanhood. Very simple. The center and the periphery erased, you are the Brahman. Keep the center and the periphery, you are the prisoner of samsara. You are a samsari. Very simple. All very simple. So therefore, the question, now you can raise the question, is it possible to live in this world without a center and periphery? Is it possible to live? The answer is yes. That is the answer. Why it is advised to keep the company of Mahatmas? Because Mahatma, he is a Mahatma. Mahatma Gandhi is a Mahatma. For him, even the British are not enemies. They are brothers. He may fight them still for independence, but they are not enemies. He is not fighting an enemy. He is only arguing with the brother. So, he is the Mahatma. Mahatma means Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is what our Prime Minister says. One future, one humanity. And so on, like that. That is what he says in G20. There is no center. There is no periphery. So it is for a king can be like that. A king is like that. With so much responsibility, etc., the king can live a life without the center and periphery. Why not you and me? Therefore, it is indeed possible to live in this world sanely without having a center and periphery. In fact, when you are deeply absorbed in the work that you are doing, when you are absorbed, there is no center and there is no periphery. When you talk of your salary, your bank account, what you get out of it, that is the center and that is the periphery. And even in religion, you start a ritual saying that me, the center, doing this ritual for the benefit of these things, like that the center and periphery. So you make the center and periphery part and parcel of a ritual. That is the ritual which is called Kamya Karma. And that is what the people are advised to give up if they can. So, therefore, it is possible. You can happily live in this world, completely doing your job. So, in fact, doing everything with tremendous vitality. You do the job with tremendous vitality. You have to do like that. You should not count by how much salary I am getting, what increment I will get, when they will promote me. There is racism. There is no racism. It is in your head. Come to India, we will show you what is racism. So, people have to work with tremendous vitality. You can work. And the moment you bring the center, the vitality is lost. So they make it me and mine. Now you cannot work with vitality. You will be having so many complaints and so much frustration. The me and mine comes with enormous frustration. It is never happy. The me and mine space, it is highly polluted space it is. And therefore, with a tremendous vitality, you can continue to do whatever you are doing without a center. You can continue to do whatever you are doing. So, and how to erase this center and this periphery? What is the method? There is no method. Because the center and periphery are a product of time, psychological time. And now you introduce a method that becomes again time. Method is time. So is there a method to get rid of the center? No. Because the moment you say method, it becomes time. Suppose, yes, you are a samsari with the center and periphery, and you want to get rid of the center, yes, okay, there is a method, I have the method. You are caught. So, it is like in India, they want to go to Dubai, and an agent comes, I will get you the visa for the Dubai and ticket, and he takes money and he disappears. And this person has no visa, no, nothing. These samsaris are like that. They want a method, and therefore they become like this Dubai guy. Okay? Left high and dry, in search of a non-existent method. There is no method. Because this method is a confusion, it is, I tell you. We are philosophers. We are not doers. We are not telling how to run a machine here. In philosophy, it is jnanam. The fundamentally, jnanam and kriya are different. They are not of the same order. Kriya is of the order of Prakruti. Jnanam is of the order of Purusha. They are of different orders. They are not of the same order. Therefore, there is no method. Forget about method, because method belongs to time. And therefore, because it belongs to the center itself is a product of time. And the periphery is a product of time. Over time you develop this center and this periphery. And the method will go and sit within that periphery. And it will embellish the center. Now earlier the center has no method, now the center has a method. This is called Vedantic ego. So you study Vedanta a little here and a little there and become a Vedantin. That is not, the center is still there. It is still there. That is the danger of ego. It comes back in one form or the other. There was a gentleman in a village. He told, in this village, is there one person who never praises himself, and is there one useless person who never praises himself and abuses others? You did not get it. Did you get it? No, you did not get it. Because the person declares from the rooftop, is there one useless person in this village that never praises for himself and abuses others? So he is doing exactly the same. Therefore, so the method, forget about the method, it belongs to time. You see, suppose you say, you are in sorrow. Is there a method to get rid of sorrow? Now, you run after the mirage of samsara. In samsara, there is always somebody, yes, I have a method to put an end to your sorrow. And now he got a client. You cannot get rid of sorrow by a method. If you have some headache, take a tablet, you can get rid of it, the physical pain. Some surgeon can remove surgically some part and make you feel better. There is a method for such physical things. But sorrow, which is a psychological state, which is a product of ignorance, there is no method to end the sorrow. So you cannot find the answer for ending the sorrow in some book, or in some theory, or in some concept. You have to look within, and you must see. This is what I was putting emphasis upon. You must see. In meditation also I ask you to see. You must see that there is no reason for sorrow. You must see. Somebody told me, Swami, I expected you to be sorrowful. Why you are so cheerful? I said, am I supposed to be sorrowful? You tell me I will become sorrowful. Yeah, you are supposed to be sorrowful. Why should I be sorrowful? Because such and such a thing happened. Oh, I am not sorrowful. That is not reason for me to become sorrowful. Because I see that it is not reason to become sorrowful. It is not reason to be sorrowful. Therefore, I am not sorrowful. That is how you end sorrow. So when you suffer from sorrow, you examine that sorrow and watch that sorrow. Sorrow is in the mind. It is a movement of the mind. You become awareful of the mind and its movement. You watch that sorrow and you raise the question, is this sorrow is valid? Sri Krishna says, Gatasu nagatasumscha nanushocanti panditaha. Those who know well, panditaha, they do not experience sorrow. They don't experience sorrow. Those who know well. That means what? Those who do not know well, they only feel sorrow. Therefore it is the jnanam. It is not a method. Jnanam is not a method. Jnanam is seeing. Jnanam is not again knowledge that you accumulate and put in your brain cells. I am not tired of making this distinction. When you see that there is no reason for sorrow, the sorrow is gone. There will be no more sorrow left. And therefore, one must see it. So, you see, you should not look for a messiah to come and take you out of sorrow. People want a messiah. Not only individuals want a messiah, communities and societies want a messiah. Because they are psychologically dependent. And they don't know the distinction between knowing and doing. And therefore, they are always looking for doing. They are doers. They don't want to know. In fact, they consider knowing is an obstacle for doing. That is how people are. And therefore, when you don't depend upon a method, you don't depend upon a savior or a messiah, etc., because all of them introduce time. You should not introduce time into it. Time is the culprit, psychological time. Then what will happen? Suppose you are sorrowful, and you know that you are not looking for a method to end the sorrow, and you are not looking for somebody to help you end the sorrow. Then what will happen? So, your mind becomes highly active. And active, not distracted, not putting out discursive thoughts. It becomes active. Active means alert. Your mind becomes alert and extraordinarily sensitive. The mind observes, it watches, or you watch what is going on. You watch. And you also watch how this center is created. You watch. I watch and see that there is the center. And then I also see the mechanism by which this center is created. And I saw all that movement which creates the center. And as I observe the center, and as I watch the mechanism of creating the center, it is the movement of thought that is creating the center and periphery. It is the me thought and mine thought that is creating this cell, present cell of space and time. So, as I watch this entire movement of the thought, the mind becomes extraordinarily clear. Yah pashyati sapashyati. Sri Krishna says, Yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sapashyati. I am not the doer. I am the awareful being. I am not the doer. The doing is in the Prakruti. It is in the body-mind, which is not me, not mine. So, naham na me. And so, as you see clearly, when you see clearly, the center vanishes. And along with the center, the periphery vanishes. And you are a free human being. That is how it is done. So, I have devoted the entire class to discuss the problem of bondage, how the center and the periphery create the bondage, and how to end the bondage. Both we have discussed. Let us say the verse and be done with that verse. Chichaya veshato buddhau bhanam dhistudvidha sthita ekahankratiranya syat antahkarana rupini. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I will come back. At 11:30 I will take the class. You have 30 minutes time. And I will do Gita. 8:15. Okay? Even if it is done, some part, it doesn't matter, I do freshly. Okay? Don't tell me, no, Swamiji, 8:15 is done. No, 8:15 I am going to do.